So we are discussing what's happening in the United States. We're seeing a lot of what's happening in the United States. Since the killing of George Floyd, there's a lot that we have seen, happening across the states. And now we're going to cross over and speak to two people who are in the United States. One of them is Cornelius West. He is a social commentator who is in Florida, USA. And this gentleman is going to give us basically just paint the picture for us of exactly what's happening there, wherever he is in Florida, USA. Good morning, Cornelius. I know it's late evening for you. How are you?
I'm doing very good. I want to give my blessings to everyone that invited me to the show. And good morning. It's late, but I'm not tired. I work out a lot, so I was looking forward to the interview. Right now, I reside in Tampa, Florida. Mm-hmm. And do I have the opportunity to just share my experience right now? Or
yes.
You ask me questions?
Yes, please go ahead.
Oh, yes, please go ahead, Cornelius.
Yes. One thing that's happening right here in Tampa, Florida, I think, is I think the people got comfortable and thought that the young Braves and Kings and Queens were not going to react to what was going to happen. And the only why I call them young Braves and Kings and Queens is because you go back to, I don't know if y'all ever watched Cowboys and Indians, mm-hmm. right?
Yep.
Or even in the African culture, you have chiefs and tribal leaders, and sometimes the chief and tribal leaders can't tell the young folks what to do because they have no hope, and they go do what they want to do. So what's happening right now, the young Braves is not listening to the chiefs. Right now, you can't name one person that the young people will listen to at all. They won't listen to TJ Jakes. They won't listen to who else out there? Jesse Jackson. They're not going to listen to Al Sharpton. They're not even going to listen to Obama. You want to know why?
Why?
Because they're not in the trenches of knowing what's happening to these black people because they're not out there right now. They're in their homes, $1 million homes, chilling.
So you think there's a disconnect, Cornelius? What you're saying is that there's a disconnect between the current young crop of black African Americans in the USA and their elders, the ones you're describing, the TD Jakes, the Al Sharptons.
Well, what happened is, people, the leaders. Now, I don't know this for sure, but this is my speculation. Black leaders have taken money and paychecks to say what people want to say, and they had a disconnect because they're not still living in the community now. They take their money that they earn from white people, and they go move out of the community. So how's that happen? The black community. So when you have these young people out here, they have no hope, and the current justice system is a white people problem. It's not a black people problem. And I'm going to give you an example, because the white people are the majority of the business leaders here in America. So they don't ask for convictions of racist white cops. So when you don't ask for convictions, I ain't talking about arrests, because the arrests do happen, but we got to go from arrest to a conviction. When you don't have that, and these young Braves and Kings and Queens see that, they're going to get upset. Let me ask you a question. Do y'all remember what happened to Rodney King? Are y'all old enough to remember that?
Yeah, we just had that conversation this morning. We just, lent a little bit to that, Cornelius, and said that, 30 years ago, this was the conversation with Rodney King. And here we are 30 years later, still having the same conversation, and nothing seems to have changed.
Right. Because, you know what, in America, these are the leaders in every city in America, my African brothers and sisters. You have a mayor of every city. You have a chief of police in every city, and you have the prosecutor of every city. Those are the three leaders of every city. So, in Minneapolis, Philando, this black king, he was gunned down by a white racist cop, and got found not guilty 3 years ago in Minneapolis, right? 3 years later, you have Floyd being killed in the same city by a white racist cop. So the city of Minneapolis let America down. They let the citizens of Minneapolis down because the mayor, the chief of police, and the prosecutor took 72 hours to arrest this man. And they watched the city, the great city of Minneapolis, burn down. So when you sit back and watch, and y'all seen the video, so you got 4 cops that they protecting. Young people see that. Young people are not dumb. They're not naive anymore. They know, because you got YouTube, you got Instagram, you got Facebook. They're not naive. You know what I'm saying? So how can you trick them? So when I say the older people can't take cuts with the white people anymore, you got to get a black leader. Are y'all familiar with David Banner and Dr. Boyce Watkins and the Dr. Claude Anderson and all them? Have y'all seen Hidden Colors?
Yes.
Okay, those leaders. That's who the white America don't want to talk to.
Why?
But that's who they
Can I ask you why? Are we talking about they don't want to have the conversation because it will be uncomfortable, or they don't want to come face to face with the realities that be?
Both. You got both. They don't want to, because white America still don't teach slavery in the classroom. So we all know what slavery was in New Zealand, Portugal, Spain, the islands. It was even in Mexico.
Yeah.
Because in Mexico you have statues of blacks in Mexico. So when you don't have the history in American schools, they try to hide stuff. So, but the young people, we're not the young kings and queens. They're not naive, so they don't have no hope. And see, white America, black America, which is the wealthy blacks and the wealthy, they live for tomorrow.
So when I hear you, Cornelius, speak,
they have plans.
I'm hearing you say that the current crop of young black Americans are feeling like they're being let down by the older black Americans.
Yeah.
I'm sure if we stepped back into 30 years ago, the current older black Americans were young then, and they must have been feeling disenfranchised and feeling uncomfortable with the older black Americans then. So it seems to be a bigger problem here about the system, and the system not being able to react to the realities of what's happening in the States. If the Rodney King riots 30 years ago did not yield much, that we are seeing now, we have the George Floyd riots in 2020. It basically just shows that there's, and you've just given us an example. In Minneapolis, 3 years ago, there was a shooting to death of a black person, and the police officer did not get a conviction through the system.
Right.
And now we are even talking about George Floyd. It took so long before the police officer was even arrested. So it's a system issue, not really about the generations of the black leaders.
When I say the black leaders are not asking for conviction. They're not asking for change of the American justice system.
All right, so let's be clear. When you talk about black leaders here, Cornelius, are we talking about, for example, we've seen very clearly out of Minneapolis, we've seen the vice chair, this older lady who spoke about, asking them not to riot. We've seen the mayor of Atlanta come out and say, please don't riot. We've seen the chief of police in the city of Minneapolis in Minnesota saying, please don't come out and riot. Are you saying that these voices that are lending, these individuals who are lending their voices to this are letting down their people? Had they said come out and I'm
not saying yes. I'm not saying they're letting their community down. I'm saying the black community is not listening to them. They are weak.
Okay.
Their voice is numb, is void. So when you can talk. You ever had someone that you were talking to, and it was going through one ear and it was going out the other because you ain't trying to hear what they're trying to say right now, right?
Yeah.
You right? Okay, that's what the black community is doing. We ain't trying to hear that.
So what are they trying to hear right now? Okay, let's take it down to the ground now. Let's say, honestly speaking, because it shouldn't be that this conversation is being had 30 years later. Let's look at it from the point of view where the rest of us sit on the globe, right? And we're looking at the United States and we are saying global leader, tick, one of the largest helping hands in terms of aid to many countries in the Southern Hemisphere, tick. In terms of an economic power, they've got it, tick. But then we see all these things and it seems that the internal workings of the United States is shambolic at best. At best, because of the things that we see going on. What needs to happen to change that?
Well, the justice system, everyone, not just blacks, we have to get conviction. We ain't asking for the head on the platter. Blacks ain't asking for that. We're not asking for nobody heads on the platter. We just asking for justice. We're asking for arrest and conviction because we see the same stuff happen over and over again. Now I'm gonna ask y'all the question. Do you think Minneapolis should have had a plan of action of how they're going to deal with an officer killing an unarmed black man 3 years ago? Do you think they should have had a plan? Hey, if something happened, what are we going to do?
Yep, they should.
They don't have a plan of action for. They don't have a plan of action for us. But they don't have They don't know how to police themselves. The plan of action got to be swift now because you got Facebook, you got Instagram, you got stuff. It shares so fast, man. And then another person that's really responsible is when Donald Trump, our president, tweeted something and it inflamed.
Yeah.
Why he tweeted that? Because Twitter has an algorithm when it's right now. It's right now. So everybody see it and the retweets and the shares and the likes. When we don't get convictions, that's letting everybody down. They're not just letting black people down. They're letting white American business people. They're letting the Spanish people, business people down. The Spanish community, Chinese, the Arabs, even y'all. They're letting our African kings and queens down. Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, everybody share this country.
Do you see a difference, Cornelius, between what you're saying now and what was being said even by Martin Luther King in the 60s and 70s? Do you see any difference between what you're saying now and what the other leaders, the Al Sharptons were saying earlier in their years, the Jesse Jacksons were saying? Is there any difference between the conversation being had now by the younger black Americans?
Right now, Martin Luther King them did a great job because that's what they had to go off of. But we in the information era of the world. This era is about information. So we got the information now, so you can't hide stuff from us. You see what I'm saying? So you can't hide stuff from back then they was able to hide information from black people. From Martin Luther King, from Malcolm X and all that. They was able to hide it. Even land. Don't y'all know the majority of land in America was given to white people?
Sure.
Y'all probably don't know that.
I mean, it's in terms of information being out there, it's clear that that's what was done. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to ask then, with this information being out in the open, I mean, if we want to now compare the two, 30 years ago with Rodney King, 2020 with the George Floyd, more information at the click of a finger, you can get this information. Do you think now that with this we're going to see a change in the expending of justice now? Do you think that the conviction is going to be gotten?
You know what? In my heart right now, in my soul, I think we are going to get convictions. I think because I was on the phone with the brother Tim, and he was asking me some questions about what should he tell his congregation, the white. And I said, look here, you got to get early in our interview, you heard me say you got to get 3 people in the room: the mayor, the chief of police, and the prosecutor. Those are the 3 people that control every city.
Yep.
We ain't talking about economics. We ain't talking about billionaires, millionaires, or anything else. We talking about law, structure. You know what I'm saying? So when they don't say this person is wrong and then convict them, you got a problem.
True.
And now you're going to see these young braves out here do it again.
Right.
You let another black person die like Floyd again, we ain't scared. They ain't scared, man. They ain't scared. these young braves like some young Indians. Like when them young Indians weren't scared to fight the army, they went to war because they'd rather die.
They're ready for anything.
Than let they ready for anything. They're ready, man. There's some videos, man. These young kings and queens, and all I call them young kings and queens because they lost hope.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I still believe in our community. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just
at this point, Cornelius,
they living for right now.
We are speaking with Cornelius West, who's in Tampa, Florida. He's a social commentator. And at this point, let's also bring in somebody who's also in the USA, from Chicago, Illinois, is an author and community leader, TJ Addington. Good morning, TJ.
Good morning.
TJ, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Thank you very much for speaking to us. Welcome to the Situation Room right here in Nairobi, Kenya. TJ, you've been hearing what Cornelius is saying, talking about why the younger people are feeling they're feeling like they've been let down by the system, by the fellow leadership of Black Americans. They're feeling, they ought to get results now, and those results, they're hoping that those results will last a generation at least and change the system. Do you see any kind of change of system from the current riots after the George Floyd killing?
I believe there will be changes. This is obviously a very complicated matter. I've worked and traveled in some 60 countries, and everywhere you go in our world, there is racism, and there's injustice, and there's oppression. My own view is that and I can only speak from a white perspective, while Cornelius speaks from his own black experience. My own view is that the white majority in the United States do not understand the realities of the issues that black men and women face. And that comes because there's a lack of relationship between them, among other things. As Cornelius says, there are structural issues, there are political issues. I work a lot in the faith community, and I believe it's time for the church to wake up, to listen, to speak up, and to act, and to do those things in concert with their fellow citizens of color.
TJ, is it time for racism to be declared a state of emergency in the United States?
That's a political question, and so many things become political in our environment today in the U.S. I would say that it is an emergency for our nation. It has been for a long time, but it is becoming more inflamed, and unless we are willing to acknowledge and face up to that fact and act on it, we will face, as Cornelius said, ever-increasing conflict.
The protests that are
Can I
going...
interject on that question?
Go ahead.
Can you ask that question again for me, please?
No, I was saying that I was asking that is it time for, and which TJ has answered, is it time for racism to be declared as a state of emergency in the United States?
Yes. That was a question. Yes. And one thing that I want to clear with my African people to paint this picture is This is not white against black.
Mm-hmm.
This is not about race right now.
Mm.
People want to say it's about race. It's not. This is about injustices.
Mm-hmm.
And so my thing right now is, we can talk about the looting and all that all day long, but if you don't talk about the injustices of black people being dead by the hands of white racist cops, the conversation is void.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all shouldn't have no conversations. Don't even entertain any conversation about looting and properties and anything else if you're not going to fix this problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
People want to be positive right now, right? You want to be positive. Everybody want to be positive. You can't be positive if you can't fix this negative.
Mm.
You can't put the positive before the negative. And now people want to put the trash up on the rug and cover it up or put a Band-Aid on it. No, you can't put no Band-Aid on it now. You know what I'm saying? So this is not black against white, but the media and all that, we're painted like that. We love cops. We love our black. We love white. I got some amazing white friends. I mean, amazing. So this is not an indictment on the whole race. This is about just time after time after time after time after time again. 400 years of it.
Hasn't this injustice been flamed or been perpetrated even more because of the fact that there is discrimination between both races?
Thanks for that question. The one thing about it is you have cops here that was bullied when they was in high school and stuff, and they become cops, so they get this badge, and they get the right to wear a gun. So it gives them ego and power and stuff like. When you look at that cop face when he was on his neck, you see how proud he was. He was proud to be on that black man's neck. That's evil. That is evil. And so when people think that it's okay to watch videos like that, it's not okay to watch that.
But what is it that would make him behave like that? What is it that would make him behave like that without feeling like there's going to be any kind of repercussion to his actions?
Because there is no ramification of killing a black man or black sister or black kid.
So it comes to the race issue.
It is a race issue when it comes to cops, a white cop. So it makes it a race issue. But when we see it on video, y'all seen the same video that I've seen, right?
Yes, the same one.
You seen exactly. So if you're a juror, like I mean, when you say he's a murderer,
Yep.
Yes or no? Like, yes. Okay.
If I was a juror, I would say he's a murderer.
But right. So, but when they get the evidence and they use all this, one word that always get used in police dealings with killings is just cause. He had just cause to kill him.
Yep.
They use that term a lot.
Yep. Cause to kill.
They use that term a lot, and then they try to use autopsy. Autopsy came back about Floyd that he died of heart trouble, right?
Yeah.
Now they just came out and said it was asphyxiation because you know what? If you come out with this lie, we're gonna stay mad. You see how they try to do it?
Yeah.
So that's the injustice part. So it's not about white versus black. It's white versus black when it comes to death and injustices.
Right.
But as far as like racism, yes, it does exist. But this is not a racism problem right now. This is an injustice.
It's an injustice issue.
We want convictions. We don't want arrest.
I want to head back. I want to ask TJ again. TJ, when you started the conversation, you said what you see here is a situation where the white community has, over the years, never understood the issues that really affect the black community, and this is a generational issue.
Right.
Why is it that there would be such a disconnect with people who are in the same country? I mean, the issue of racial injustice has been told as a story every year in America. Why is it that would get to a point in 2020 where the white community would be at a position where they don't really understand what goes on or what issues that affect the black community?
You know, I suspect that it has to do with the changes that took place during Martin Luther King's time, where the obvious discrimination was put to rest. The things that you would see, like separate bathrooms and separate drinking fountains, and where you sit on a bus, and so those obvious pieces are not obvious anymore. I mean, they're gone. But what isn't obvious are the attitudes of injustice, the injustice that takes place in our court systems, because the experience of the white population is very different in some of these areas than the experience of our brothers and sisters of color. And so, unless you listen carefully to the experiences of your black friends, you just don't even understand that this happens. And so the white community can often speak of law and order. The black community is asking for justice, and the reason I put faith in some faith in the faith community is that God had a lot to say about these kinds of things. I just wrote a piece where I quote Isaiah. Is this not the kind of fasting I have chosen to loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke, to set the oppressed free and break every yoke, to share your food with the hungry and provide the poor wanderer with shelter? And it goes on. And if we truly understood those places in society where there is injustice, oppression, and real physical needs, and took those seriously, the conversation would start to change.
TJ, do you see this going across? Because, we want to talk about it from a community level, but if that is happening where we don't have an understanding, where, white folks don't have an understanding of what is going on, then I hear you saying that this goes as far as high as, the highest office in the land, from the police inspectors to prosecutors that Cornelius has mentioned, and then to those in the assembly, those legislators, to the office of the president. Do they not have an understanding of what is really going on? Because from where I sit, then if you do have this understanding, it would then help in the expansion of justice. And so are we saying that justice is not being served because there's not an understanding of the injustices that are being meted out on the people, on the black community?
I think there's not an understanding of the reality, which is why if you talk to black legislators and politicians, their view of the situation is very different than that of white politicians and legislators, with some exceptions, of course. So the issue can be in your face, or it can be very subtle. A lot of the injustices may be subtle, but they're felt very deeply by those that experience them. So every black person I've talked to in the United States has been pulled over when they're driving. I've never been pulled over except when I was speeding. I have friends that don't feel safe going jogging because people look at them and make them feel unsafe. I have a black friend who was in a grocery store just recently. Everybody's wearing masks, of course, and a white gentleman lifts up his shirt looking at this black gentleman and reveals his gun. He carries a gun. I mean, how can that not deeply impact the black community? And it's just plain sinfully wrong.
So it clearly shows, TJ, that the white community as well, there are those in the white community who know exactly what they are doing. Like that gentleman who's basically just showing a gun to the black person in the store, or the white people who see a black person in their community and they start turning the other way or start raising alarm that there's a black person in our community. They know exactly what is happening. They know their perception of the black people. So we cannot really say that they don't understand what happens, they don't understand the injustices when they also participate in perpetrating the same injustice.
Right.
Well, that's true.
Can I interject on that right there?
Go ahead, Cornelius.
Excuse me. When that white guy did that right there,
Yep.
he know that if he do that, he's not going to get as much time as a black person. So when he do that, he know if he get arrested, he is going to be judged as when white people carry guns legally, they look as they are operating in a Second Amendment right.
Yep.
When a black person owns a gun legally, he is a criminal.
Yep.
So, and there's a grossly injustice. I don't keep saying injustice because there's a grossly injustice with a white person getting jail time versus a black person getting jail time. And when a white person goes to jail or get pulled over and get tickets, they might get one.
Yep.
When a black person get it, they're gonna get 5 tickets. When a white person can go to jail for selling crack cocaine, get probation, time served. A black person gonna do 5 years.
Right.
Because down out here in America, the prison is a business. They are private now. They're not owned by states.
Yeah.
But they make money off of cigarettes. They make money off of phone cards. They make money off of food. They make money off of traveling. Hotels.
So they need folks to be in prison, basically.
Yes. So that white guy that's in the store showing his gun, he's brave. He has no fear of going to jail for a long period of time.
Because he knows that the system will work for him, not against him.
It's working with him.
So
and
probably,
as a matter of fact, he probably got enough money to hire a lawyer, or his family got enough money to hire a lawyer and get off easy. A lot of times, these people give prosecutor, judges, and lawyers $10,000 or more, and here I'm gonna get you this right here, because they in cahoots with these lawyers and judges
with the law enforcement system.
That's a problem too.
Is it possible, maybe, Cornelius,
so that's why they act like that?
From just that example that TJ has given us of the white person in the store, is it possible that maybe the white person, because he knows he's carrying a gun, he's exercising his Second Amendment rights and all, maybe he also doesn't know that if the black person went through the system, he'd have a harsher treatment by the system? Could it be a link to what TJ was saying, that the white community does not really have empathize with what the black community goes through?
Yeah, and it's true, and it's not all of them, because some do understand. I have some friends that they can come up to me and ask all kind of questions. They care about me. I work with a lot of good white friends. I mean, really do. They really want to know what's going on. They make sure I get home safe. They make sure I understand, and they vocal about it. They're not sugarcoating around it. They're not pacifying me either. I'm not pacifying them. I'm very stern. And the one thing about the black community don't have right now, you name even, this is no disrespect, but the Pope don't got no power right now. He's the highest person in the Catholic community. He can't tell a black person nothing right now.
So what's going to happen?
What's it going to take then for anyone to listen? Because the situation, I mean, I don't think it's percolating now. I think it has boiled over. What's it going to take to get?
It's going to take.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, please go ahead.
It's gonna take. I was talking to TJ before this phone call, and I told TJ to be patient with what's going on because he's gonna be frustrated because he wants a quick action plan. But I told him what to do to get those 3 people: prosecutor, chief of police, and the mayor in the same room, and they can have a plan to get it going. But it gotta be organic and it gotta be authentic because you can't trick these young braves because you saw what happened with the autopsy report. It said he had a heart attack.
Yep.
But it changed it, right?
But Cornelius and TJ, I'm going to ask this question to the both of you as we come to the conclusion of this interview. Do you see the current agitation taking any sort of structure and form that will take us towards meaningful change and an end to the current agitation? Starting with you, Cornelius.
One thing, like I said, you can't fool the black community, and not just in America, and globally. We are smart. We are intelligent creatures on this earth that's seeking the same rights, the same that we ain't paying for. Like I said, we ain't asking for nobody head on a platter. You know what I'm saying? But they think it's wrong to convict a cop that killed people. Tamir Rice was 13 years old when he got gunned down. Trayvon Martin was a boy when he got gunned down.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, as long as these injustices happen, you're gonna see this again. Those young braves and warriors,
so what's it gonna take to end the current agitation? We gotta get conviction.
Conviction.
The conviction.
Period.
Okay.
TJ, what do you think?
Of cops.
TJ?
I think it's. I agree that there has to be justice in the court system, but I think that both black and white leaders are recognizing that what is there is not sustainable. You cannot have cities burning down. You cannot have this kind of conflict. And so, as I spoke with some black leader friends yesterday, we would like to see a coalition of the willing. Not everybody's willing, but a coalition of the willing who will come together, identify the key areas where change must happen, and then bring people to the table in each of those areas, the courts included, to work together to bring systemic change and to fix some of the structural issues that fuel this kind of conflict.
Right. Well, I mean, we have to come to the end of this conversation, but we thank both of you for lending your voice to this. It's obviously something that needs to continue. The conversation continues, and we always say that if we stop talking about it, then minds can't be changed. And if we're looking for some of the answers that we've talked about here, then the conversation absolutely does have to continue. Cornelius West in Tampa, Florida, and TJ Addington in Chicago, Illinois, thank you so much for being part of the conversation this morning in the Situation Room. And we hope that we can keep it going. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you and have a great day. The conversation continues as well on our social media platforms, Spice FM KE on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter.